Hello, No Fly Zone listeners. It's your host tonight, AC. Hopefully, at this point, you both know and love me and recognize the sound of my melodic musical voice. I am joined tonight by my co-host, Bret, who is my sharer of genetic material. We also have a special guest on with us tonight. His name is Ryan. He has been a friend of mine forever. Like, we used to be roommates. We actually met when I was working at my first job as a cop. He was working for a different agency, and unfortunately, we've been stuck with each other ever since because trauma bonds.
Well, fortunately for you, though.
So, Bret, say hi.
Hi.
That was supposed to be Bret. Ryan, say hi.
Hello. That's all I have to say. Keep going.
Okay. That's all you have to say is hello? All right.
Well,
God,
Casey, you're going to be the moderator on this. And funny thing before this show, my sister, Casey, has just been a bully to me my entire life. And this is, I even had to pick which energy drink I would drink on the show tonight because if I picked one, I knew I'd be insulted more than the other. So today,
what was the one?
I'm drinking a blue raspberry energy drink. I'm not gonna name the brand, but I was gonna drink a C4 Skittles, and I knew she was gonna say something about tasting the rainbow, and I didn't want to deal with that. So I realized that subconsciously as well that I have to adjust my drinking habits in front of my sister just to avoid public humiliation.
Thank you for cock blocking me. God damn it. Okay. So I've already, my first opening joke has already been destroyed. Thank you for that. I cannot wait to see you eat that spider, by the way.
Whoa, okay. Do we agree it was a spider? I mean, cricket. I mean, what are we talking about?
I like spider. I like spider because you hate spiders. So for those of you who missed it, I recently posted on Instagram that if we got 100 followers, Bret, at no personal cost to myself, would be consuming on camera live a living creepy crawly creature of some kind to include spiders, worms, arachnids, crickets, whatever. His choice. So that's what we have to look forward to if we get us to 100 followers on Instagram. I don't think it's that tough. All you have to do is hit follow, and then you can never look at us again for all I care. Just fucking follow us, please.
Just make him eat the bug.
Bret? Yeah, make him eat the bug. You have to do this for me, okay? All right, so tonight what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be interviewing, in a way, Bret and Ryan, who are both Army veterans, correct?
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Army for me.
Army?
Yes,
Go Army. All right, so we are all jaded at this point, bitter, disillusioned, kind of over it. Not the starry-eyed, star-spangled youths we were in our very, very early 20s or late teens when we thought we could change the world. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to go through that career progression, those physical and emotional and mental and spiritual changes, and our long list of regrets in regards to that. So, Bret, real quick, can you give us a rundown of your history in the military?
Oh, geez. I was 19, young, dumb, full of cum. Raised my right hand and went to out of MEPS to Sacramento. Got sent to basic training or OSUT in Fort Knox, Kentucky. I was a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout, which is Army Reconnaissance. Got stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, and did a wonderful 6-year career. Deployed 3 times to Iraq. 2 Purple Hearts later, and some injuries. Like I'm still here.
Fortunately for all of us, Ryan, can you give us a rundown of your medical and Army career? It's medical. Your military history.
I was 31 Bravo, which is military police. I got stuck out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, after living in the Ozarks for most of my life. So that was a fun experience.
I'm sorry.
No, it's. I did a tour in Afghanistan in 2013, and I only reached the rank of specialist because the reserves don't really have a lot of room to go up. So I kind of got stuck there.
It's a crowded MOS there.
Oh yeah, definitely. But it was cool. I got a neat little patch.
So what year, Ryan? A neat little
Yeah,
patch.
he said.
Ryan, what year did you enlist and what year did you get out?
I enlisted in 2008 when I was 18, right out of high school. Like, I graduated, and like the next day, I was heading to the recruiter's office. And then I got out officially for good in 2016, after 2 years in active service, from which I never heard from my person that's supposed to keep tabs on me. Wink. Uh, but yeah, but 6 years of 6 years of active doing stuff in the reserves.
You didn't hear for your PO?
Not once, never, not once.
And Bret, what year did you enlist?
Never, not once. I did 07 to 12, and I made the rank of staff sergeant. But I was a high turnover MOS, a lot of injuries or fatalities, that kind of thing. So not really
Jesus.
personnel friendly for my job.
So for both of you guys, I guess, what was your decision-making process, and how did you choose the Army, and then how did you choose your MOS after that?
Who do you want to go first?
Bret, go ahead.
Okay.
Loudmouth.
I originally wanted to do Air Force, and I found out I really didn't like heights too much, so I switched to Army because I thought they'd stay on the ground more. And when I went, I took the ASVAB, and I initially was going to go military police, and it was a 6-year minimum term enlistment. And then they're like, my recruiter, these beautiful liars, they let me know that this job, the 19 Delta Cavalry Scout, was only a 3-year enlistment, and they had a $40,000 bonus. So I was like, being an 18-year-old kid, it's like, oh, $40,000. I just didn't know that they're doing the high bonuses because it's hard for them to get people to fill that because they keep losing them. So that was interesting.
Ryan, what about you?
Well, branch just, I was like, okay, I'll just go to the Army office. But MP, I'd wanted to be a police officer coming out of high school, so I thought, hey, that makes sense. And then I didn't do a single law enforcement related thing the entire time I was in. So
that sounds right.
So when we were doing our Fort Hood episode, one of the funny things that we talked about is, and I think that you should actually understand this, the terrible, terrible reputation that MPs have in law enforcement. Like when an MP gets out of the military and comes into law enforcement, like they're like the butt of every joke. Did you get any of that?
No, because I didn't do anything.
Well, I mean, because
So you weren't that smart ass like, oh, well, when I was an MP, we did
no,
this
because
and
I
this.
didn't do this and this. I did convoy security the whole time. I was basically a truck driver with
I did this and that.
But
yeah, I did that and this. I wasn't doing this and that. I was completely like, we did some in training, but the rest of it was just me driving around making sure I don't blow up. So, and I did a pretty good job of that.
Well, that's a good job. I'm proud of you. I'm always proud of you.
Now, Casey, from what I understand, is this why I had to send you kind of like early year pictures because you're going to be doing like a collage for the socials?
Yes. So that's going to be like the most fun part of this episode, I think, because all three of us are going to do this, even though for me it's law enforcement. Ryan is going to be just his beautiful, normal self. Bret is going to show pictures of before he was fat, which has been a very, very long time, but it did happen. I have a picture of it, and we're going to do before and afters of the young, starry-eyed shithead that you were at the start of your Saving the World tour, and then now or at the end, whenever you got out. Like for me, obviously I'm not out. I'm still stuck in the hell.
I do have something to comment on that. Dad bods are in right now, just saying. And I'm not fat, I'm buffed.
They're in t-shirts at the pool, which is really not cool.
See, I'm at the awkward point where I'm not jacked and I don't have a dad bod, so I'm not fat enough for a dad bod, and I'm too fat to be jacked.
You need to commit.
I'm working on it.
You need to make a decision here. Make a decision. You're a cat dad. By the way, Ryan, how many fucking cats do you have now?
5.
5?
To be fair, I started out with 2.
Is that the least number of cats you've had?
No, least was just 1, believe it or not. I ended up with my
I don't
ex's
believe it.
cats, basically, because she's going to get rid of them, and I basically said no. And I'm out here with a lot of land now, so they can run around and catch lizards and shit. So they'll be happy.
And in case our listeners didn't catch that Easter egg, Ryan is both straight and single, to everyone's shock on both
And
Yeah,
counts.
his
And he
super
has a lot of
I have
and his
so
cats.
many
superpower is
cats.
saving pussy.
Mm-hmm.
He does.
Yeah, that's right,
Yeah.
ladies. I am single.
He's a pussy collector, if you
That
will.
is why I
Oh
was
no.
brought on this podcast.
I'll post a really cute picture of him, and I will actually link to him. I'll hook you up, okay?
Awesome.
Bret. Oh, I have to tell this story since we're telling stupid stories. Today I went to the pool, and I was bullying some people down there
Of
to
course.
listen to the podcast.
Of course you were.
Shocking no one. I was bullying people pretty mildly. Okay, like bullying like a ha-ha way, not a way, not a call the police way. So what are you gonna do? I am the police. Anyways, so one of these chicks said, "Oh my god, I listened or I watched your podcast. Your brother is so hot," and I'm like, unfriend immediately, get out. Okay, so she's blocked, thank
She's
God,
not wrong though.
but we can't be having that. No, she is wrong. Okay, you can't team up on me like this. We need to stay on topic. So now that we've established that one of these studs on my camera, the only one on my camera besides me, is single and loves cats and straight. Again, shocker. We can move on to this. So when you first joined the military, let's start with Ryan. When you first got in, what were your initial impressions? What was your first the thoughts going through your head?
Well, I was nervous and excited, and I went in to basic with a strategy. Just keep your head down. Don't do too good. Make sure to eat plenty, and uh, don't rock the boat. And basic was about what I expected it to be. More stupid people than I'd hoped, and I got plenty of stories about my. Uh, I hate to say it, my battle buddy, as they called it at the time, because you got paired up with people. Um, he was a complete fucking retard.
Oh
Oh
no.
yes, oh yes. If we have a,
We'll get to some of those stories here in a
I have
minute.
so many. Uh, but
You're going to have a chance to tell all of them.
it was about what I expected going in. But when I got to my unit, I wasn't sure what to expect. I got there and it's kind of weird because everything felt more relaxed. Um, but that was the first couple drills, and then I started to see how just fucking stupid, just horrible everything was. So that was my initial.
The veil was pulled away.
It wasn't just pulled away; it was ripped, and all the stupidity was there for me to see.
Torn asunder.
I want to hear all about that stupidity. Bret, what was your first impression? Your starry-eyed, young, dumb
Oh yeah.
impression.
I mean, I like to think I was a little smart because I already shaved my head before I went in. It wasn't like you think it is in the movies or the books or anything. And I get there and I'm stuck in reception for like 3 weeks, and I did a 3-year contract, and each day felt like a year. And I was like, so I was there for like 3 weeks in reception, waiting to go to my training unit. And so it's like prison. Like you go to formation just to go eat, and then come back, and you're supposed to like read this like little handbook or Bible. I forget what it was called at the time. And there were like race wars and like gang fights and like all kinds of stuff going on. Like it was just vicious. I was like, man, if this is the military, this is gonna be the longest 3 years of my life. I finally get sent to my training unit, and it was a 1 station unit training, which means I wasn't going to leave where I was training, which was Fort Knox, Kentucky. And it was just like, I'm a little jealous of Ryan here because he got to eat. Like we had guys that would go to the DFAC because if you like your eyes straight, or you'd have like that one idiot that couldn't follow instructions, they would have you load up your tray and then just dump the food and then go outside and get smoked. And getting smoked just is another way of saying of doing drills and PT. Like it was not fun. I was a lot funner once I graduated training and actually went to my real Army unit. But that's kind of my story there.
So obviously, you probably both can figure out the next question would be, what are your impressions now? And I would love to hear you. I mean, unfiltered. Let's start with Bret because he just went. Now looking back,
Well, I mean, every generation, like I, I I would say like my staff sergeants or my NCOs before me, like they had it harder when they went through, and then I had it harder than the people going through now. I mean, now I believe they have stress cards if you're getting yelled at too much.
I've heard that.
Yeah, we didn't we didn't have any of that. And speaking of starry eyed, I was told one of the days we got done with all our drills and things, the training we were doing, and got done with dinner defac and marched there and back to the barracks. And this, and it seemed, I didn't know somebody messed up, but somebody had messed up at like one of the other platoons, and they were going to do just corporal punishment. Everybody gets punished. And they told us they were going to Disneyland. And then buses pulled up, and I've never been to Disneyland. Remember, I think Kristen, you at the time, you had been to Disneyland with like our parents and stuff. I've never been to Disneyland, so I'm like, cool. I'm in Kentucky. I'm not realizing how far we are from Florida, so I think we're going to real like Disneyland or Disney World. You know, so we're loading up, and so we get our backpacks. So we got our backpack stuff. We get on there. I'm all loaded up, and then they take us to a tire pit. And we're low crawling through the mud and getting smoked because some guy I don't even know messed up. I don't even know what he messed up on. And we're getting punished, and they call it Disneyland. It was a very cruel thing to do to an 18-year-old kid.
And for context to our listeners, Bret specifically has always been the level of gullible that you read about in books, but have never encountered in a person until you meet this man.
I'm too nice. Nice. That's burned me, and it's helped me.
As a kid, because it was Bret and I versus somebody else. So at one point, I remember this one because you repeated it to people. I told him, like, hey, Bret, do you know why greyhounds are going extinct? And your dumbass was like, why?
I mean, that's something to ask if greyhounds are going extinct. Like, you want to know more about this. Like, people should be aware. Like,
he did not even question that greyhounds were obviously going extinct. Like, no, oh my God, this is a problem. Why are they going extinct?
My sister that loves me wouldn't lie to me.
You should have known at this point. Okay, this was trial by fire. So I tell him, Bret, you know, greyhounds can only have sex one time. And if they don't get pregnant that one time, it's over for those poor greyhounds. They can never procreate. And you were so brokenhearted for the greyhounds that you then went and repeated this to multiple people.
I mean, that's no way to live. Like, I feel bad. Like, you need to make it special for them. Like
so then,
like
I got in trouble. I got in trouble because your dumbass believed this. Okay, it's your fault for believing me.
Well, you want to know? You want to say? I haven't confirmed this, but I've heard this. That a pig's orgasm lasts 45 minutes.
I've heard that. But can we get back to how you're dumb enough to believe greyhounds can only have sex one time?
Okay,
I know you're trying to change the subject really hard.
What you're leaving out of this equation is I was probably 9 or 10. Okay,
and I was younger than you. I was like 7.
Okay, and you had just read it or decided to prank me. So
no, I just made it up on the spot. Dude.
Okay, but don't women like mature and develop faster than males? Like, I mean, so you were actually older than me intellectually at the time.
You were trying so hard to defend yourself. It's horrible. I love it. I love this for you.
No, if anything, I'm the victim. I was taken advantage of.
Yeah, well, I helped craft you into a man who knew better than to trust people when they said they were going to Disneyland.
Well, it didn't work because I still got my heart broken, so.
Okay, I love you anyways, but you're so dumb. Thank God you're pretty. Thank God people think you're hot. Ryan's just having a cardiac event over there. So this is the story of our childhood.
What's funny is that's all true.
I know. That's the one I remember. I did that shit to you constantly, just people rarely found out about it because I don't think you repeated stuff. But that one you repeated to a lot of people.
Well, no, and then because we were homeschooled and our social network was usually adults, so.
Yeah, you repeated it to adults, the narcs. Okay, God. Didn't anyone ever teach you not to talk to the cops? Okay, Ryan, same question. I don't even remember where we were, but like, what are your impressions now? I love this is your chance to like open fire.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. Just don't believe the movies because everyone there's a fucking idiot. Because the people that aren't fucking idiots get out because they're tired of the fucking idiots. Okay. Like, even some of the best soldiers I knew that could have been, like, stayed in and made a difference eventually said, fuck this, and bailed as soon as they could. So, anybody listening, if you're
That reminds me of another career
yeah,
we're
right.
in.
So, anybody listening, if you're a complete and total douchebag piece of shit failure and you need a career, just go in the Army and stay because you'll just get advanced as fucking fast as possible.
Tell us how you really feel.
Well, to caveat what Ryan's saying, I know what he's saying. Like, you'd have some of the worst human beings intellectually that would get promoted or pass the board somehow or have the help or whatever, and that make points or get promoted, and then the people that should be getting promoted get kind of put down or pushed to the side, and there's like no incentivization there, So,
Take your time.
when you have idiots, leading you, you don't really. I mean, you're still going to follow orders. You're going to roger and execute, but it doesn't make you want to stay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is something that you would tell people? So, for example, I know that a lot of our listeners are civilians. What's something that civilians really don't know is like part of everyday military life?
Holy shit.
I mean, I can say, like, for my MOS, I mean, you have every day you have PT. I mean, you're waking up at, depending if you lived on base or off base, 4:30, 5:30 in the morning. You're at 6, you're saluting the flag and listening to Reveille, and then you're going on a 4-mile run or whatever it is, or you're doing upper body, and then you might, if it's slow and you don't have stuff to do, you're doing PT in the afternoon. And it's a lot of fucking exercise. And then if you had a long weekend, they love to do Mondays. They call them Jack Daniels runs. They'd have you put on your Seaburn mask, wear your body armor, and then you'd have to go running until everybody's puking and it smells like Jack Daniels.
Love that.
Yep, they call them Jack Daniel runs.
Ryan, what about you?
So you see in the movies and stuff that the military personnel are, they're intelligent, they know what they're doing, everybody's got a role to fill, and they do that role because there's a lot at stake if they don't. It's all bullshit. Okay, like, excuse me for a moment, I'm very angry. Like, we had
time.
Like, our supply guy didn't ever have supplies. Our paperwork nerds that were supposed to process all of our paperwork, you had to send it in multiple times because they'd always lose it. And this isn't hyperbole. This is, anytime you sent in paperwork, you would have to send it at least 2 more times because they'd lose it every single time. And that's their one fucking job, is to have an electronic record of stuff. Or
what you're forgetting, Ryan, is
what's up?
I was saying what you're forgetting is one copy for the Russians, one copy for the Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's the time that I was threatened with an Article 15 if I didn't go to a training that I was supposed to leave for that day because they didn't bother to tell me I was supposed to go on that training. But yet it was going to be my fault if I didn't go.
Nice.
And I actually ended up losing my job because of it. Because I was basically like, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, if you're going to join the military, do reserves afterwards.
Damn.
Or I would say just don't join. But if you're going to, I was just trying to dip my toe, like, see what it's like, and I didn't want to commit to it fully. I'm glad I didn't. Because I can't imagine the horror stories I would have in comparison. Because active duty is, everyone shits on reserves, but we were always the ones that were always, good to go, and our soldiers were always ready and performing best, and in training we'd always score tops, and like on actual real missions we always did really well. So I can't imagine active duty bullshittery for 6 years. Probably would have blown my brains out.
That's what I did. I did the active duty route, but there's there also I was lucky enough to have some intelligent leadership too, but there was also the mediocre as well. And it's just it's not like what you see in the movies. I mean, and if you do apply yourself, like in certain jobs in the military, you can move up or go faster in the ranks than other jobs. Like if you go like X-ray technician, there's so many people that are in that MOS that it's so hard to get promoted without a degree and other training. Whereas if you go like something a little more dangerous like EOD or something, you can move up faster because people get injured or don't stay in those positions. So it's easier to move up in the ranks. I would have, if I didn't get injured, I probably would have done the full 20. Like, and that's just for me. Like it fit for me because I went up to E6 from the E1 in 6 years. So I was moving pretty good. And I was getting orders to go to Hawaii. I was finally going to leave Fort Hood, and it's a different experience. It's just nothing like you see in the movies. I think Full Metal Jacket is like the closest thing to accurate, but it's still not truly accurate.
Okay, that's actually a good thing. Do either of you know of a movie or a show or anything that even remotely resembles your accurate experience in the armed service?
I do actually. HBO on HBO Max, you have Generation Kill. That I haven't finished the series. I think about halfway through. It's kind of hard for me to watch through it sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to finish it at some point. But everything I've seen so far, it's about the Marines, but it's about Marine reconnaissance in Iraq, and it literally looks like they filmed on scene, like the weapons, the gear, how the interactions. I mean, it's the closest Hollywood replication of what it was like.
Okay, Ryan, what about you?
He's spot on about Generation Kill, but another form of media would be any footage of a fucking circus that's on fire would be accurate.
Ryan, are you saying that as a specialist you didn't like lining up for no reason side by side and walking across a huge parking lot just to pick up cigarette butts?
Especially when I don't smoke.
Oh my god, I love it. That's amazing.
And what's funny is they call that, correct me if I'm wrong, they call that a police call.
Yeah, they do.
I thought it was a smoke break.
No, the smoke.
No, they call it a police call.
Police call to pick up.
You literally line up, and you can be as small as a few people.
There's a little bit of delay on Ryan's mic. So Ryan, what were you saying?
Yeah, it was police call. You do that for cigarette butts, even if you didn't smoke, and even if there's a smoke pit where that was highly enforced. Like if you were not within this goddamn gazebo, you'd be like firing squatted or some shit. Or at the range, you'd have to go pick up the spent brass. And that's another thing about the military is like they can take anything fun and make it not fun. Like going on hikes, shooting guns, etc. They can find a way to ruin it. Like, hey, we're gonna go on a 20-mile muck.
Hey, I do agree.
Hey, we're gonna go shoot guns. Oh, but you're only gonna shoot about a magazine's worth. You're gonna be there all day, and then you're gonna have to spend you're gonna spend more time than you spent shooting, picking up the shots the other people got to shoot. So it was they ruined range day.
Once I hit E5, I got out of that. I went to the AHA.
They ruined range day? God damn it, those bastards. So I think, Ryan, is it safe to say that... Go ahead.
Oh, no, continue. I was just bitching more.
You can keep bitching, don't worry. But I was going to say, is it safe to say that if you could rewind time and go back, you would not have joined the military?
I probably would have gone about it a little differently. Which, don't get me wrong, I met some of my best friends in the military, doing that, and I think it really helped me as a person and helped develop who I am today. Uh, but if I were to meet my younger self getting ready to go in,
You cranky
yeah,
bastard.
if I met 18-year-old me getting ready to go in, I would just injure myself until I couldn't join. So just kick my own ass. So because I wouldn't listen to me. So and I could definitely kick my ass if I was younger.
God.
So
Brett, what about
So,
you?
uh, I had a choice when I passed the ASVAB. Okay, I passed the ASVAB and I had a choice about 140 jobs to do. And so hindsight's 2020, and I would have definitely picked a different MOS. Um, I think if I could go back in time and slap myself, I would, and I would have gone. I would have probably gone warrant officer for helicopter pilot or air traffic controller because you already get all your hours and flight time. So when I got out, I'd immediately just go right into a civilian equivalent of that job.
Gotcha. And for what it's worth, I know people are probably wondering if I'm going to be a part of this conversation. And I was sitting here, especially off air, debating on if I would join in on this. For this part, I will definitely say, oh my fucking God. I would have slapped the non existent eyebrows off my stupid, smirky little fucking face. And I would have done what Brian said. I would have injured the fuck out of myself, like permanently. I'd put myself in a wheelchair.
Question: Now, would you have done that backhanded or open palm?
I'm talking like thumbs to the eyeballs. I need to make sure there's nothing I can do to continue my career. Okay? Like if I could go back and do anything else, which it says a lot because for some reason I have whatever mental illness makes you love being a cop. I don't know what that is. Haven't figured it out. I don't know if there's a name for it. But I am exceedingly in love with my job for super self-destructive reasons, I'm sure, because it's been like the worst shit I could possibly like. I would never wish the shit that I've gone through on my worst enemy, which is why I didn't really know how to participate in this. I don't know how to share. I was asking Ryan because I lived with him for 2 years. I'm like, hey, do you know any stories that I could tell that aren't like mind meltingly traumatic that I could tell? And I'm not. I don't really have any. I think I might be able to come up with like one, but I'm gonna need to like really brainstorm this because the shit that you remember when you're a cop is not the funny or the good shit. It's like the shit that like, you know, keeps you awake at night kind of thing. So for me, I definitely at the very least would have gone back to my stupid little 22, 23-year-old self and we would have had words, man. We would have had words. Um Definitely would not have joined the department that I did join. So I think it's across the board, every single person I know from the military or law enforcement has like serious regrets about how they started or where they started their career or that they started it at all. That seems to be the common
So,
thread.
so Casey, so would it be different if you would have started at a completely different department? Would that have changed your outlook,
Definitely.
possibly?
It definitely would have. I was too young and dumb. I definitely had that extremely horrific I'm gonna save the world attitude. I had stars in my eyes, super idealistic. I was in the best shape of my life. I, graduated at the top of my class. I thought I was on top of the world. And I had no idea like the fucking hell that awaited me.
Before you get butt fucked by life.
Dude. And again, if even now, Ryan and I were talking about this earlier. I love my job, weirdly. I love being a cop. Hate who I work for in general. Like I've always hated who I work for. Um,
But
but
isn't that most people's employee-employer relationship, like where you're doing a job because you have to, not necessarily because you love it?
well,
Like you
I
have
that's the
bills to
thing.
pay.
I
That's the
do
reason most people
love
work.
I love the job itself, but the people you work for and sometimes with make your life a living hell. And that was the part I wasn't prepared for. That was the part that no one told me about being a cop. They tell you, "Oh, you're going to have a tough time. You're going to encounter a lot of horrible things. People are going to hate you," which is all true, but was much much easier to deal with than the people that I worked for being unreliable and I don't even know if I should say this on camera, but dirty as fuck, okay? But I cannot in good conscience look at a young person today and tell them, you should go be a cop. I can't do that. I say, hey, I love my job. You're going to hate it. Don't do
yeah,
this. Do not do this. You will regret it for the rest of your life.
yeah, because
Well, going back to what Ryan said about making like range day not fun, I mean, they could take something good and make it bad. I mean, it got to the point where being combat arms, we'd go to the range all the time and be shooting 50 cals, 240 Bravos, Mark 19s, like you name it, the whole gamut of the arsenal, and be shooting. And then it just, there's so much stupid stuff mixed in and regulations and rules that it's no longer fun. It would become like a chore. Like, oh my God, I gotta shoot a 50 cal again today on taxpayer dollars,
Oh no.
And so I'd be like, and so you'd be going and doing that. And then finally I got kind of smart when I came to E5. I became an ammo handling NCO. So then everybody brought the brass to me. I didn't have to go out there and pick up the brass anymore.
Loophole.
So it kind of evolved. Yeah.
Ryan, I know you tried to talk a couple times. Your mic's on delay. What were you saying?
I was agreeing with the part where, yeah, the job itself is great, but I went into, when I was a deputy, I went into it like, okay, blood and guts, whatever. I can deal with that. But like, they don't talk about like shitty leadership, and I had higher expectations for working for the sheriff's office than I did for the Army. So that was very jarring as well as the rest of the criminal justice system. Again, I can deal with the blood and the guts, but I just did 3 hours of paperwork just to have some asshole that didn't want to deal with it throw it away, that didn't want to do their job, throw it away because they didn't want to prosecute. Like fuck you.
Yep.
Oh, that'd be frustrating.
It's so frustrating. It really is.
Now, this is me on the outside because I'm not law enforcement background. Is there like watchdogs or third party groups or stuff that can partner with these departments or watch over them or give them insight? Like, hey, this is like where you can streamline your processes or do this better or work with your subordinates better. That
it's
kind
all
of stuff.
It's all government.
That's so optimistic.
I don't know.
That's so cute. I love it.
It's all government, so no.
Yeah.
So what you're saying? There's an opportunity for a government or state contract to address this.
Well, that would imply that somebody was wrong, and
I don't even know.
Yeah, that would imply that somebody somewhere was incorrect or wrong,
Ding, ding, ding.
and nobody can have that. So no.
Correct. So the problem is that this is why people who have had or currently have government jobs think that the government is corrupt. Okay, because we've watched it happen. We see it happen all the time. And a lot of times you don't really know what to do, especially if you're one of those outliers who has that super black and white conscience thing going on, like I did when I was young and stupid. And you want to see positive change, but you're coming into this super embedded construct of old white men making decisions for everyone, and none of these guys have done your job in years. And they care about one thing, and that is money. And what makes...
I work for corporate right now, like corporate America right now, and that's the same thing. Like I'm getting guidance from people that they last held this in the trench position 30 plus years ago. Yep. And so they're so detached from the day-to-day life or what you go through, and they think it's this way or it's like that. It's like, no, like come down here and do my job for a day and let's do
and
side
now
by side.
Imagine those guys are telling you to do things that are directly putting your actual life in danger, and they don't care about that at all. Like, they don't care that you could die doing this stupid thing that they haven't done in 30 years. And that's one of the major issues in law enforcement right now, is this massive disconnect, this huge yawning canyon between the people making the decisions and the people doing the actions, because we have no control. Us on the ground, boots on the ground, have no control.
Well, and then in the military, it was Roger and execute. Like, if you were outranked, whether, you like the person or not, you'd follow the order because it's a lawful order. And there were certain people or individuals that I would respect the rank, not the individual. So, like, I'd respect, the rank of, Sergeant First Class or First Sergeant because of what that rank carried and to get there. But that person could be a complete turd. And then there was also some that were exceptional, and I'd base my career like, man, I want to be like that person someday. Mm-hmm. So, like, there was a little bit of both.
Oh, yeah. I definitely...
Ryan?
Definitely agree with that bit. Can I name names?
I think you can. You're not in anymore.
Yeah,
so
Sergeant Hayward, if you're listening to this, fuck you, go die. He was the perfect example of this. He was he was
Spicy.
lower enlisted for a handful of months, and I'm sure he sucked enough dick to get promoted or something. I don't know how he got up there, but he was one of those people that would go up to you and just tell you to go to parade rest and abuse every lawful order he could, and still technically be right.
Oh, so that just kind of struck a vein with me because you're talking about like a sergeant or E5, and we all had kind of that E5, I'm sure, or I'm sure in law enforcement, I don't know if you call them corporals or what the rank structure is, but you have that kind of like junior leader NCO type that would kind of abuse their position just because like they made it in a sense. So like, what was like the dumbest thing that you were forced to do? Like you said, you were like put parade rest for no reason. What is something, Ryan, that they would make you do that was like belittling or like just something for them just to flex their rank? Because I have one like when I first reported my unit, and I'll go after you.
Man, the one that comes to mind was so Kristen, I sometimes am funny and I come up with goofy stuff, and I came up, and it was well known that I enjoyed gaming and nerdy stuff in my unit. So they'd always joke that I was the tactical wizard of the platoon. So like I was joking around with my buddies one day, and I made up an entire set for magical range day where you had to like cast fireballs at targets and stuff, and there's like flying targets, and it's this whole long set. It was this whole long joke, and I told it, and this dude made me repeat it like 4 times when it stopped being funny after the second time, and it ruined the whole thing.
Oh God.
Oh no!
Like I had to go perform this whole thing, and it's like it was funny the first time. Second time it's like, okay, I remember that. But after that, it stopped being funny. You stopped, all the things that make humor.
Just beat it to death.
He'd always do shit like that. Is just like beat shit to death. And if I was funny, he would always like go around and try to make it seem like it was his idea, but I was just the little puppet with his hand up my ass all the time. Even though I'm the creator,
and we're all thinking of a name right now.
Yeah,
swear to God,
he would just come up and just be a total asshole to you, and just for no reason, and he couldn't do it.
Oh, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, or I'm gonna get in trouble.
Oh yeah, there's lots of things that
I can think of somebody.
There's lots of things. I probably shouldn't.
I'm still actively employed with my sheriff's office, so I cannot name names currently. But oh my God, when I quit to become a professional podcaster, it's over for you bitches. I'm naming names.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even remember the other,
but
them. He was in my squad, and there's just thoughts I shouldn't share ran through my head when we were deployed. I'll just say that much.
My experience when I reported to Fort Hood, this NCO, this E5 Sergeant Shiplet out of Ohio, he wasn't even in my platoon, and he would fuck with me. And I'm a E fuzzy, what that means I had no rank. I'm an E1, the lowest of the barrel as far as rank. Everybody outranks me, and he would come in the morning before PT, and he would just lock me at parade rest for no reason, and just fuck with me. And around this time, 300 had come out with Gerard Butler. This is Sparta. And so he would put me in these positions where I would have to make a choice. And he would tell me to go kick down the first sergeant and captain's door and yell at the top of my lungs, "This is Sparta," and get punished by first sergeant, because the first sergeant's going to like fuck me up for doing that. Or if I refused, then I was going to get fucked up by Sergeant Shiplet. So I was in a lose-lose situation, and so I just really had to pick which route I wanted to go. And there were several mornings I did kick down the door because I knew First Sergeant had other tasks on his plate and would get bored with me after a while and let me go. Whereas Sergeant Shiplet, he would clear his schedule to just fuck with me.
Wow. That sounds like the family curse right there.
Fuck you, Sergeant Shiplet, if you're listening to this, sack of shit.
Fuck you,
fuck
Shiplet.
you.
God.
That's the nicest.
Fuck you.
Wasn't even my platoon. A completely different platoon.
What a dickhead. Hate that guy. Again, I am still actively employed in my career, so I cannot be getting too specific with things for the sake of
Your employment.
any potential future I might have in this career. Just, yeah. But I absolutely relate to the things you guys are saying. Obviously, in a different career field. God damn it! Someday I'm gonna do a tell-all. Just you wait. God, I can't wait.
Me neither.
I'm gonna have to really cherry pick the stories that I'm able to share personally. But I did want to
And
go ahead.
And we could do that on another
We're
episode
gonna have
too.
to,
Like I'm
'cause
sure we'll do this again. We'll do another bonus episode where we can flip it where it's just more law enforcement.
I will
related.
say, for those of you, this is going to be a PSA. For anyone who knows or is friends with or family members with a cop, okay? Anyone in the law enforcement career field, this is a PSA to all of you. If you, deep in your shriveled, dark, dead little soul, have a single shred of something resembling human decency, I'm going to need you to do this one thing. And that one thing is stop fucking asking cops if they've ever shot someone. Do not do this. I cannot stress enough. Don't fucking do that. Do not. It's not funny. It's not cute. You're not original. It's nothing. Okay. So you're gonna walk up to a cop and think you're so fucking funny, and you're gonna say, "Have you ever shot anybody?" Like everyone fucking does. And even if that cop has shot somebody, he's gonna laugh it off and he's gonna say, "No, of course not." But you, the shitty fucker,
You're
the
next.
shitty fucking human that you are, just reminded that person of possibly the worst day of their life if they have. Okay. So don't fucking do that. It's not funny. There's absolutely no excuse, especially strangers, because you'd be shocked how often this happens. Ryan, I'm sure it's happened to you. Bret is in the military. I'm sure it's happened to you. It's happened to me. I've lost track of the times. Don't do this. If you're the kind of person who for some reason thinks that's a good thing to do, I'm telling you right now, I will come, I will find you, and I will end you. Okay? Liam Neeson style. That's my PSA. Do not be a shitty fucking cretin and ask cops that. Okay,
On a
stop
lighter
it.
note,
Just
on a
stop.
lighter note,
And rant.
also we know you didn't do it. Please don't talk to me saying you didn't do it. It wasn't funny the first time. It wasn't funny the 500th time. You're not original. You're not a comedian. You're not funny. You're
Cracking my neck.
just if you want to.
And what Ryan is referring to right now is when a cop walks into anywhere and the person immediately, some funny fucker in a golf shirt says, "It wasn't me, officer." You're not funny. Stop it.
Stop.
God.
Get some help.
Now, do you think that could be a guilty conscience?
Get some help.
I-
It probably is a guilty conscience. I don't care. I'm just trying to get my fucking Quick Trip hot dog, okay?
I'm just trying to get a glizzy. Fuck off.
PT.
I'm not trying to do this. Exactly. It's not funny. So I will say this is kind of a funny story I can share. My entire circle of people in my life are cops and military guys, okay? That's it. Those are the only people who can now stand the side of my face, because I've offended everyone else in my life, and which is great by me. So you can imagine the way that I talk. This is just how I talk 100% of the time, right? So I got hired to do a pretty cushy off-duty gig where a plant was closing here locally in my county, and all I had to do was sit there while they told their employees that they were closing the plant down, okay? And I was there the first day. So the HR lady brings me in, and she's like, the first people we're going to tell are these upper management, like all the shift managers and like the CEO types in the business suits, okay?
Is this to like help deter workplace
Yes,
violence?
they're
Like, I'm
they're
sorry to
just
interrupt, but-
very
okay.
pussy people. Pardon my, I don't even know if that's insulting or not, but
No, I get it. Okay,
they were
but I
very
just wanted to know the context.
nervous white people, okay? And they were really scared that one of their employees was going to pop off with a gun, even though the plant was not closing for another 12 months. And they were granting extremely nice severance packages to people, or paying them to relocate to like another state to work at that plant. So they were really like covering their bases. They were doing it right. But I was there the first day, and I walk in, the HR lady brings me in, okay? And it's a boardroom full of old white men or young white men, all males, wearing suits and like ties and shit. And wouldn't you know it, one of these shitheads looks up at me and says, "It wasn't me, officer." Okay. So again, I've been working like 90 hours this week and I'm working like a 24-hour shift here. So I'm just tired, I'm hungry, and I'm me. So that combination created the perfect storm in which my dumbass just, my mouth opened and I snapped back at this guy like so hard. I was like, "Oh, that's fucking funny. You're a fucking comedian, aren't you? That's fucking hilarious. I've never heard that one before." Like,
You went drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket.
I had no business coming back at this guy that hard. Oh my God. I cannot believe what came out of my mouth. And thankfully, everyone else in the room thought that this was the funniest thing they had ever heard in their existence, and they all started laughing so hard. And I'm sitting there like looking at the HR lady, like, am I getting fired? Like,
What was it? What was it in the other guys that they had the desk pop?
yeah.
Like,
I just,
you know what I'm talking about?
it was just one of those moments where I just lost.
Negligent
I momentarily
discharge.
blanked out and just said the first shit that came into my mind, like I was talking to another cop, but it was a civilian. It was a group. It's a huge room full of civilians, and thank God they thought it was funny because otherwise I probably would have lost that really cushy off-duty gig. But that guy turned bright red, and everyone else was laughing and clapping, and I'm sitting there like, oh my God, I need a Snickers bar. Oh, why did I do that? Like, why did I say that?
You're not you when you're
Oh my
hangry.
God. It worked out for me this time, but then I was like, oh my God, I need to like bring it down like 18 notches. Holy shit. So thankfully that worked out for me, but that's the kind of like things that go through my head when someone like says that now. I'm like, keep it down, like tamp it down. So we've already been over whether you guys would have, maybe say, I know we went off on a tangent, but whether you guys would have stayed in the military or not. Ryan, I know that this is how I met you, was you were a deputy at the jail in the county where I was a city officer. And that's how I ended up meeting you and actually a lot of my other good friends. Would you go back now and would you have chosen to go into law enforcement after the military if you could do things again?
I mean, starting off, my county, my department was great. Like everything was going super smooth for a couple of years. It was just that last year I was there, leadership changed. And so it's really hard to say because I met a lot of really great people there too. And of course I met you. So that's hard to say because it was mostly positive, but the negative was enough to make me say it's time to move on. Because like
Yeah.
everything was smooth, like after shifts, we'd have like shift parties and meet at somebody's house and go drink a lot. But what made things change was when I realized, the leadership changed and they created a rank for a certain individual specifically. That's when I was kind of like, oh, hold on a second. And then they said, hey, we're changing the schedules. What do you guys think of this? And everybody said, this is stupid. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I
And then
remember
they
that.
said, well, too bad. We're going to do it anyway. Why'd you fucking ask us? What was the point of making me stay after shift to ask me this? And that's when I decided, okay, maybe it's time to get out. That and there's a couple other issues I was having personally there, but like getting in trouble for things I reported myself. I was like, oh, I goofed. I better report this.
I remember that one.
So, and then.
Do you want to tell that story?
Sure. Okay. Well, there's
I'll tell mine if you tell yours.
Well, the first.
Oh, it's that kind of party.
It's something I've done multiple times.
Well, the first time was because I'm a fat ass and I left my food out in my car and I was really hungry and I was on my lunch break. And when you go outside, you're supposed to go to your locker, put your gun on your belt, and then go outside. Because anytime you're outside of a secure facility, you're supposed to be armed. So I did that, did all that. I had my can of soup and my bowl and my chips and all my goodies and everything. And I walked back in and I was so hungry. I sat down and ate. And then I was like, man, I really need to get back to my post. So I hurried back into my post without stopping by the locker room to disarm. Uh, I realized that when I got there. So I called for somebody to cover me, and I went back and put it up and then reported it immediately. Got in trouble for reporting that. The second time was I was picking up an inmate from one of the city stations, and she was being mouthy and annoying, and I wouldn't say I used force, but she had to be encouraged into the car. She, I wouldn't say it was a lot of resistance, but it was enough that I had my hands full. And so she's bitching and crying and not wanting to get in the car, and I'm trying to talk her down like it's not that big of a deal. We're just gonna do this, blah blah. It's gonna be okay. And then she still wouldn't listen, so I'm like, just get in the goddamn car, and got her in there. And I said, fuck this, and I drove out and left my gun at the jail, which everybody's done. There's two types of cops. There's people that have left their gun.
Everybody has done
Yeah,
that.
there's you've either left your gun in a another jail, or you left your gun in the jail or another department, or you've lied, or you just haven't done it yet. And so I got there.
Yeah, give it time,
Yeah,
kid.
I got to the jail, got her calmed down, processed all that, and they asked me to go out again, and I went to go get my gun and realized, oh shit, I don't have it. And so I told the sergeant immediately all my problems, because I tried to be responsible and report things. Uh, Immediately told the sergeant, and I found out a couple days later that I was getting suspended. So I took 2 Saturdays off.
Nice.
And it's like,
So I remember when he told me this story because it blew my mind. Because I told you about the one where, do you remember Boxcar Willie?
Boxer.
And how many times that I brought that motherfucker to jail? Bud Chambers.
Okay,
Chambers.
hold on. I have questions. I have a question. Is that the name
He
that
gave himself.
law enforcement called this guy, or is this
It
what
was
like
his
other
hobo
inmates
name,
called him?
okay?
Or
This guy was always drunk in the street, and I think I arrested him. I literally lost track of how many times I arrested him. But one time, I left the jail after bringing in an arrestee, and I come across Boxcar Willie, drunk as fuck, sleeping partially in the street, partially on the sidewalk. So I go over and try to wake him up. I'm like, can you just like get on the in the flower beds or something? I don't want to deal with you. Turns into a fight with him, of course, because he wants to go to jail. He's one of those guys who knows he can get food at jail, and he'll resist whatever
yeah,
you're telling him. So he's like, no, I'm going to be drunk in the street. What are you going to do? Arrest me? And like hold that as, you know what I mean? Like he wants to go to jail.
like I get a cot and a
3
warm
hots and a
meal.
cot.
Yeah.
So I'm like, motherfucker. So I just get it done. I arrest him, take him to the jail, let him sit, sleep it off. He's drunk as always. And I then leave the jail again. So now this is like the third time I've been in the jail that night. So I then am driving to another call, and I come across a wreck in an intersection. And I get out and I deal with the wreck. And the driver of the striking vehicle, he turns out to have warrants. So I have to arrest him, right? So it's at about this exact moment that I put my elbow on my holster and realize it's empty. And this guy looks at my holster and realizes it's empty. And so I look up at him and we just kind of like, I fuck each other. I'm like, are we going to do this or what? He's like, I'm like, I mean, I'll still fight you. Like, you're going to jail. Like, you're going to jail. So he like kind of like looks at me and he's like, okay. And like gives up, because like he knows I don't have a gun on me. So then I go back to the jail again for like the third or fourth time that night. And I'd left my gun there, like in the locker, because when you go in, you have to lock up your guns and all your weapons. And when you're in and out constantly and you're so tired and overworked, odds are really good you're going to be leaving your gun there at least a couple times in your career because it's not in your head. And I never got in trouble for that. Like, but then Ryan gets in trouble for
not
this. Like, I made an arrest with an empty holster, which obviously is really dangerous.
not just in trouble, suspended.
I mean, I have a question. I mean, you guys.
Suspended. He got suspended.
So, like, is law enforcement, or is there any departments out there that have those like gun rings, like for arming the weapon, like what's in your like firing hand, like where you can actually still go into a jail or locked facility and still have a weapon on you, but it can't be used without
I don't think
the
that's
ring?
real. Is that real?
Maybe just like
is.
the whole
I've
like
never seen that.
trigger guard.
I'll double check it. or maybe it's out of budget. Maybe it's out of budget for
What were you
departments.
saying, Ryan?
Yeah, something like
kind of like
that.
the trigger guards that you put on your gun that you like loop a lock through. It's usually just easier just to
Is
lock
that what
it
you're talking
up.
about?
Yeah, well, basically what it is, it's like a ring around.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
simpler. I don't even know. That sounds like a sci-fi thing.
I know
to
what
me,
he's talking
but,
about. We're basically
like, I think he's talking about like.
I'm not telling like read your
Yeah.
DNA or something, but it's like proximity based. Like it's like when it's in your hand, that's going to allow it to work. Versus
That sounds made
no,
up.
it's
like, you
real.
get
I just
disarmed or
wouldn't.
somebody takes
Sounds
it.
I wouldn't
I
rely
would
on
do
it
the
to be
Googles.
honest, because it's an RFD. It's an RFID chip
Mm.
thing that basically put in a watch or a ring, and when it's within proximity, there's a device in the housing of the gun that allows it to fire. But you have
Exactly. And so if you get disarmed, let's say the perp takes the weapon, it won't fire for them because they don't have it. The ring.
Weird.
So that's the idea behind it.
Okay. I know we're running a little long here, but I don't really care because I'm having fun. Ryan, I would like to give you the opportunity to tell a story or two of your favorite escapades. I've heard most of these, but I really want to hear them again. I want Bret to hear them. Give me a good selection of your best stories here from either your military service or law enforcement career. Impress me.
So for all the bitching I've done about getting in trouble when I probably shouldn't have, there's been plenty of times where I didn't get in trouble when I should have, and here's one of those stories. So this was in Afghanistan. We were attached to a unit from Guam, which was probably the biggest stroke of luck I'd had in my entire career. Because people from Guam, they're super chill. They're great. So we were doing a supply run to the Kandahar airfield. We were on an Afghan police base. We were the only Americans on this entire base, and we are doing a supply run over where the rest of the Americans were. So we get our mission there. We get on post, and we get a van, and we're driving around. We get to where we need to go, and the sergeant first class that's driving it, he's from Guam. He's like, "Hey, do you guys know where we can park?" And as you know, in the military, acronyms are a huge part of the language. So there's a whole bunch of nonsense words that mean something. So I say, "Sergeant, we ought to go park over by the BOFA." He goes, "What's the BOFA?" And I yell out, "BOFA these nuts!" And I start laughing, but I'm the only one because the whole rest of the van just went like quiet.
Oh no.
And he like turns around in his seat and he looks me dead in the eye and he said, "Covert, shut up." Just kept driving. And then and I got him a couple other times. He wisened up to it, but he'd go along with it. Like Stephen actually got him with Wendy's one time. He goes up to him. He says, "Sergeant, what do you think about Wendy's?" And you see him kind of like stop and reflect. And he's like, "Yeah, I like Wendy's." He goes, "Well, you love it Wendy's nuts are dragging across your face." And he's just like, "Man, I was picturing a big juicy burger and then a pair of nuts just drops on them." So that was the more mild of the things I should have gotten Article 15 for. Yeah, the more mild. Yes, that's what I said.
I know I've heard some of the wilder stories.
The one involving the net gator.
Which, we can have you back for more of these. Yes, that's my favorite one.
Am I the only one that gets confused when I go to Wendy's and then all of a sudden the menu's all Dave's this?
Thank God
Dave's
you're
that? Like, isn't that a little misleading? I don't know. It's confusing for me as a customer.
You're confused.
I'm at Wendy's and then everything
You're
says
confused by
Dave's.
one-way streets as well. So no, that's not incorrect. Different. I remember when you were learning to drive.
Was this before?
Yeah, I remember lots of things about you. So just keep that in mind when you're like saying things to me. Okay, like I have a lot of ammunition. Like I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I can remember like every stupid thing you've ever done, ever.
This is where you dedicate your brain
Correct.
power.
Yes, the important things. Okay, the diabolical things.
I guess I'll go with. I guess if it's my turn, I'll go with an embarrassing
Yes.
story coming back from my first deployment. I have lots of embarrassing stories actually. Um, I came back from my first deployment, 15 months in Baghdad, Iraq, and I ended up going through like a month or 2 month breakup with my fiance. Ended up being my ex-wife, um, and so she was doing her own thing in California. I was doing my own thing in Texas, and when we got back from the deployment, we would our supplies and our gear hadn't come back to the States yet on cargo ships. So we kept getting like 3 or 4 day weekends as long as, there was no like DUIs or arrests, that kind of thing. We'd have these extra days off. And so all the soldiers were really smart about it with really trying to, might be having some technical difficulties. Oh, still recording. So what would end up happening is the soldiers were being very careful with having a designated driver, so that we wouldn't risk losing these extra days off and these privileges. So there's in Fort Hood, Texas, which is in the heart of Texas, right in the middle of Texas, about an hour south of Waco. There's a club in Killeen, Texas called Starlight. And so on a Friday night or one of these weekends, I go with the platoon and I'm there like the mother hen. I'm just watching my buddies get drunk. I'm making sure they stay safe. They're not getting fights, that kind of thing. And I'm getting free Red Bulls and Cokes as I'm the DD. And so at some point in the night, this bigger lady comes up to me, and I'm thinking in my head like, nope, I'm not drunk. Like the night's early, so she comes up to me and she's like, "Oh, my friend thinks you're really hot and would like to meet you." I'm like, "Oh, your friend?" And she shows me her friend, and it was this attractive brunette. And so we talked, we danced a little bit, and turns out she was a female prison guard. And she also worked part-time at Subway, which is kind of interesting. She was a divorcee, and everything was going pretty fine. And we hit off and we exchanged numbers. And the next day, we had made arrangements for me to take her to the movies. And so I think I'm a specialist this time. And so I'm a specialist. I got my tricked out Dodge Charger, and I go and pick her up. We go to the movies, and it was a good day. And I go and drive back to her house, and it was a small little 2-bedroom house in Coppers Cove, Texas. And I pull up, I walk to the door, and I try to be a gentleman, and say, I'll see you next time, that kind of thing. Well, she grabs me, kisses me, and pulls me into the house, forcefully. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to be a good afternoon. And so, clothes coming off, foreplay, all that. And all of a sudden there's a knock on the door. And she's like, quick, hide. And I was like, what? So I think I'm like, okay, I just survived a 15-month combat deployment. I'm going to die at some random house in Texas because this chick didn't tell me that she's married or has a boyfriend. So I'm like, oh my God. So I can't find all my clothes, or I think I found one shoe. I get in the closet. I can't find my cell phone. And so she's trying to help me hide and get hidden in this closet that she isn't able to fully get dressed. So what ends up happening is by the time she gets to the door, and my heart's beating out of my chest, I'm trying to control my breathing, and then I got this silver Charger in the front yard with the skull seat covers, and I hear this guy go, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I'm like, I'm gonna fucking die. Like my battle buddies, they don't know where I'm at. This is so bad. And so I'm in there, my heart's beating out of my chest, and in this bedroom, I'm in the closet, and there's this sliding glass window, but she doesn't have those blinds or those sliding, privacy curtains or anything to go across this glass window. And it turns out it was her brother, and she forgot that he had told her he was coming over to mow her yard.
Wow.
Okay, so he starts mowing the backyard, but he comes over as his girlfriend. So his girlfriend goes and sits on one of those plastic, chair table setups right on the back patio where it's kind of facing in, and there's no way to cover this glass window. So I'm stuck in this closet while his girlfriend's sitting there. And then he starts mowing the yard, and I start hearing like that. And then, so she brings me a glass of water, and she's like, "You know what? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And all of a sudden I start hearing kids laughing. And this is a small house, and it turns out her 2 kids came over with her parents. And so now it's a full house, and I'm in this closet half dressed, and I'm stuck. And so, and I'm hearing all this chaos that's going on, and everybody keeps asking what this car is. It's in the parking lot. She says it's her friend's car, but obviously it's a dude's car. It's got skull seat covers. It's a Charger, manual transmission. So I'm like, so this is so bad. So she comes back to me. I'm hearing like SpongeBob or Sesame Street in the living room, and the kids are watching it, and the grandparents are talking. And she recently comes by. She's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And then I said, "You know what? Tell them that you saw a funny story or distract them. I'm gonna like." I end up half naked. I'm duck walking out of this house to get out. I put the driveway slope, so I put my charger in neutral to roll out of the driveway. And I finally like rev up and get the hell out of there. And so this chick, I kind of like ghosted her after this. Like we just stopped talking. Okay, so fast forward a few months, me and the break ended between me and my ex-wife and fiance. So we actually got married and we started living in Coppers Cove, Texas. So yeah, so there was one day I can't remember if it was in the afternoon. I can't remember if we got off work or exactly what happened, but my wife at the time said she wanted Subway. So I took her to Subway and I pull in and we park and I look through the window and I see this lady. And all of a sudden I'm like, nope, I'm not going inside. And so my wife at the time goes in, orders food from this chick that I was stuck in her closet. I mean, it was just a crazy ass story. And I thought I was going to die.
We lost Kristen.
I see that. I want to see if she can rejoin. But yeah, that's one of my crazy stories. I got several, but that one was pretty bad. And I'm gonna message Kristen and figure out if she can rejoin.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, we got Kristen back.
KC.
Gross in that story. I have no idea. Can you hear me
Yes.
right? All right.
All right.
I am back.
Are you back? You probably missed part of my
end.
story.
You were living in Coppers Cove, Texas, what I heard. But go ahead, wherever you're at.
Yeah, no, I kind of finished it, but yeah, long story short, that chick also worked at Subway, and I pull in with Crystal because she wants Subway, and I look through the window and I see her, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not getting out of the car. I came with some bullshit excuse, and Crystal goes in, and they're interacting with each other, and doesn't realize that I just that I was stuck in this lady's. Oh, absolutely not. Because this happened during the break. I don't know what she did during the break, but I didn't make it past really. I didn't go past second base with this lady, but still.
I mean, naked in the closet with the kids upstairs is like ninth base.
No. It was the kids weren't there yet. I got told to hide. The brother came over to mow the yard first, and then the rest of the family ends up showing up, and it's a full house in this little house. And
you stress me out, man. Your bad life decisions stress me out.
It stressed me out at the time. I thought I was going to die.
I mean, R.I.P. buddy, but like line of duty or whatever.
You know what that story reminds me of?
I mean, and then I'll let you guys go. But
was it another teen movie where like
what's that, Ryan?
she's like in bed and she gets out her sex toy and it's getting ready, and starts using it, and like her mom walks in and like her dad walks in and her grandparents walk in, like her preacher walks in and like.
I know what you're talking about. Yes, it is that movie, not another teen movie. That movie also had Captain America actor in there.
America's ass.
Yes, Chris Evans was in there. Yeah. Do you not remember he had the whipped cream on his ass?
Actually.
Okay, I knew you would.
What a class! I love it.
I don't know why that scene
I want
popped
to
in
make
my
sure
mind.
before we get off that Ryan tells the gator story.
Oh man.
He knows.
The what story?
Okay, not gator as in nom, or gator as a neck gator, and it'll all make sense very very soon. Am I telling it now or what's left of the episode?
Tell it.
Okay, so here is.
I mean, we don't really have a time limit besides people getting bored.
Well,
I mean, yeah, there's no time limit. I mean, I think as long as we keep it between that by
So-
like hour and a half, I think we're okay.
this is one of my other mini shenanigans when I was deployed of me messing with people I should not have been messing with. And another instance of where I probably should have gotten a lot more trouble when I got into zero trouble. So our clothing supply, like catalog thing, whatever came in, and I picked the biggest neck gaiter. And for those who don't know, it's like a tube of cloth that you put around your face and your neck to keep your face warm or to keep sand out of your face. I ordered the biggest one I could find, and it finally arrived, and it was showtime. So for our video listeners, I had my shirt up like this. Where I had it like the cute summertime top where you take the bottom of your shirt and you loop it through the top and you make like a bra with your shirt. So I did that with one of my tan undershirts, and I wiggled my fat ass into this neck gaiter, and it was like the shortest, sluttiest skirt you've ever seen. I put on my sandals and I waddle on down to the command room. Where all the officers were and all the intel and all the planning was happening. And I put my arm up seductively on the door jamb, and I asked no, not seductively.
Seductively.
They were all like super busy, so I was looking I was looking fine. I was looking sexy, and I just asked them some completely innocent question, and like I get like nobody looked up and just kind of like, yeah, here's the answer, blah, blah, blah. And then I stood there and they're like, did you need something? Oh my God. And like the whole entire command center just went up in a ruckus. And there's probably pictures of me floating around. So,
I love that.
Yeah, I should have gotten in trouble there.
If you can find one of those pictures,
I can just
if you can find one of those pictures, we'll post it on our social.
I'll just make new ones.
Well, one thing that people don't know about the military.
Make new ones.
One thing a lot of people have misconceptions on, I don't know about the military, is that you are guilty until proven innocent is how military law works, and you're government property. Like you can get Article 15 for getting a sunburn because that's damage to government property. Like that's just some of the insanity that it is working for the government.
Yeah,
everybody has rights.
That sounds actually really fucking accurate, to be honest.
It is, but yeah, that could have been insubordination or something. They could have found something, but luckily they all thought it was funny. Or the time I yelled, "Fuck the police" out my truck at a bunch of Afghan police. So probably should have gotten in trouble with that. The colonel was in the back seat, so he thought it was funny. Fortunately.
Oh my gosh!
I yelled at coworkers. I'll be driving like in a patrol car, and I'll like one of my coworkers go by, I'll be like, "Fuck the police!" and they'll like turn all mad, and they'll see it's me. They're like, "Fucking Cervantes!" Like every fucking time. I swear to God. I'm trying to think what else we got. That's some of my favorite stories from Ryan. I really wish that people could see the like visuals of that story because that's like the funniest part. So I hope you can find a picture of that so we can spam the socials. I know we talked a little bit about the before and after pictures we're going to do. I'll tell one short story really quick about one of the only funny stories I have. I actually have a lot of funny stories. I can just never remember them unless someone reminds me. And this is about the dick stabbing incident, which was really fun because you can always tell. Yeah, that's fun.
When she tells it.
What can I say? Fun. I have a thing for violence. I don't care. It's pretty funny. The best part of the story, because this is how you always spice up a story, is you take a crazy situation and you add a rookie, okay? Just for a little spice. Best part of my day is watching rookie. Oh my God, I love that shit. So we had a rookie with us when this call comes out, and you can tell that when the dispatcher has no idea how to word what they're saying because they like hesitate and they don't usually. So it comes out as like, we have a unknown medical type call, possibly a stabbing. And we're like, ooh, okay, this sounds good. And we have the rookie with us. We're like, yeah, let's fuck this up. Like, this is going to be great. So we all of us in this district, like, woof, you know what I mean? Like, come together to go to this call. And it's even better than we had hoped. So I'm going to nutshell it to make this make sense. Because when you show up, nothing makes sense. Because what we have is a shirtless man with a bloody crotch standing on not his own back porch, but someone else's back porch deck, smoking a cigarette, drunk. And so we're all kind of like, oh, what the fuck? Like, bro, you're bleeding. He's like, it's fine. He's like, it's fine. And so we already have the ambulance on the way. And so we asked the neighbor, we're like, so what happened? Here's the story. Couple 1 lives next door to couple 2. They get together and they go out drinking for the night. All right? Couple 1 goes back to their house. Couple 2 goes back to their house. Couple 1 stays up drinking. Couple 2 decide to get frisky. Couple 2, the wife, changes her mind and leaves the room. She comes back in. Now she wants to get frisky again. Changes her mind again and leaves the room. This happens another time. So the guy is now at this point, like, they're both drunk. The guy gets really confused and he's like, why? I thought we were going to fuck, man. So he opens the door to go after her into the hallway. And what should he find but her standing there with one of those long T-bar screwdrivers. And without saying a word, she just stabs him directly in the dick.
Oh.
Okay. He does the logical thing. And he goes, man, that sucks. I'm going to go get a cigarette from Bob next door. So with a hole in his penis, bleeding actively, he walks up his neighbor's back deck, knocks on their back sliders, scares the shit out of them, and says, can I have a cigarette? My wife just stabbed me in the penis. And they go, here's your cigarette. Would you also maybe like an ambulance? And he says, nah, man, I'm fine. I'll sleep out here. Again, he's like dripping blood, okay? And so thankfully, neighbor Bob was smart enough to call the cops. So we show up, and this man is just not feeling anything. Like, we can see clearly that he has quite a bit of blood coming out of him. But he doesn't feel it. He's just smoking, man. He's just chilling. He's like, oh, it's no big deal. She's like this sometimes. I'm like, she stabs you in the penis sometimes? Bro? Like...
Hey, different strokes for different folks.
First of all, so the best part of this was the rookie we were with, who had never had a job. He just gone to college, sheltered little white kid, real nervous type. I remember his name. I'm going to refrain from saying it. He didn't make it. Okay, we'll just say he didn't make it. He's not dead, but he didn't make it.
Like
my hopes and dreams are dead, sir. Anyway, so he's like already shaky and nervous just because we came lights and sirens to this call anyway. So he's like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So we're like, I pulled out my little camera for evidence and I hand it to the rookie. I'm like, this is all you, sport. Go look at the penis and take a picture. Like, look at the injury. He's like, what do I do? I'm like, you just got out of police academy. Like, you should know this. Just go take a picture of his dick. Like, easy. So he's already freaking out. So he goes over and he, like, won't look. So the ambulance driver holds down the guy's pants and he, like, without looking at the camera, like, takes a picture and then brings the camera back to me. So, of course, my buddy and I are, like, looking over the camera like, oh, my God, he literally had, it was like a tiny hole, but straight through and through the base of the dick. We forced this rookie, we're like, come here and look at the goddamn stab in the penis. And so we finally get him to do it, to come over and just look at it. And he immediately goes, and he, like, goes over to the side of the deck and starts, like, dry heaving over the side of the deck while this guy's sitting there with a hole in his penis smoking a cigarette. Like, no fucks given. Absolutely not a care in the world. And then we got to go back to the station and tell everybody how I keep wanting to say his name, but I'm not going to say his name. How Mike couldn't handle... I mean, this wasn't even that graphic of a wound. And...
Well, what's funny about this is down the road, later on in, Alias Mike's career, he's going to have a rookie under him, and he's going to say, I saw someone as a rookie once.
I will nutshell this as well. He kept getting extended in our field training program because he couldn't make it through. And he ended his career with a bang by going into a neighboring city, getting drunk, where that city's PD tried to pull him over. He then ran from them in his vehicle, ran into his house with the cops, like, right behind him, and locks himself in, and then, like, peeks out the blinds at them, like, where they can see his face. So naturally he got fired. He then got fired from security later on. He went on to become security. He was literally in the news for this, for getting fired from his security position because of making a racist joke at a bar. Do you remember this? You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, so his career really, like, he couldn't even make it as a security guard, man. His career went up in flames.
You have to fuck up really bad to get fired for some
This is the same
security.
Guy. Yeah. I mean, I have more stories about him because he just colossally fucked shit up out of habit. The last little mini story I'll share, Bret, you reminded me of this the other day because when we were kids, one of the many things that I did to Bret was I dared him to snort Skittle powder. Sour Skittle powder.
Oh, God.
Yes. Again, because one bad decision as a child wasn't bad enough for me, I also dared another rookie to do the same thing one night while we were working night shift. He was my buddy's rookie. We were all standing in the radio room in the middle of our patrol room, which has like 2 walls to it. So there's like an entrance on each side. It's kind of like just a wall divider. So this rookie's eating sour Skittles, and I remember to myself, I hate people. I should make him snort that. So I say, hey, rookie, I bet you won't snort that sour Skittle powder. And he, being young, dumb, and new, is like, oh, yeah, I will. I'm like, bet you won't. And nobody steps in to stop either of us from making this dumb decision. So the rookie snorts sour Skittle powder. He immediately gets the gushiest, wettest, ploppiest, brain matter type nosebleed I've ever seen in my life, all over the floor of the radio room.
Yeah. I can second that. Do not. We in no way condone snorting Skittle powder because you will have a nosebleed.
There's not one but 2 stupid men in my life.
Skittle high is not worth it.
So the best part of this is like 3 in the morning too. The sergeant's cubicles are all the way down the hall. A sergeant walks in here with a stack of paperwork, and he's just looking at 4 of us standing around this bloody mess with his paperwork. He's like, you better clean that up for the captain. And he walks out again. And yes, we did make the rookie clean that up by himself.
Of course, that's how it goes. I would expect no less out of you, Casey.
Oh, man.
That's my last story, I swear to God. We're going to try to wrap it up now. I loved this. This was so much fun. We have infinite stories. Like, at least these guys do. I'm going to have to think of more family-friendly. Believe it or not, those were my family-friendly stories. Those were my G-rated cop stories. The last thing that I want to do you guys have anything else? Any last thoughts? Anything to share with our listeners?
Just a reminder, I am single.
I'm good. I mean, it's just been fun.
Real quick, Florida them. All right, for all our guys, girls, and non-binary pals out there. Our Florida them this week is from June instead of July because I forgot about this one. And it goes like this. A Florida man robbed a customer from Wendy's after the victim refused to buy him some chicken nuggets last Thursday. According to the police report, Florida man allegedly approached the unsuspecting victim outside of Wendy's as he was getting out of his car to ask him if he could get him some chicken nuggets, and the victim refused, saying that he only had enough money for his own meal. Florida man then pointed a semi-auto gun with an extended mag at the victim while exiting the establishment, who the police identified as a 34-year-old John Earl Taylor, demanded the victim's gold chain and car keys before taking off using the victim's car. All over chicken nuggets.
You know what? I'm sure there was confusion over it being called Wendy's and Dave's.
Only for you,
is on
buddy.
the menu.
Only for you. You're the only person I know confused by a Wendy's, okay?
And I had no prior knowledge about this Florida
Them
story to this recording, so that's just coincidence.
Dinky. I love you both so much. Well, mostly Ryan and Ryan's cats. And then at the end of the list, Bret is okay. He's not hot. For those of you curious and watching, you can also tune in to observe that Ryan is, of course, the hot one. I'm second. Bret is something.
She's lying.
Anyway, we want to make sure
I'm
talking
top
about
3.
Military to, touch on take care of your mental health. If you need anything, reach out to us. We want to make sure that's a priority. We're all pretty fucked up from our careers so far, and there's much more fuckery to come, I'm sure. But we do want to make sure that we are promoting and prioritizing mental health for everyone except us.
Well, to be fair, I was already fucked
And
up
on that
before
note,
I joined, so.
And then we also have.
Same.
Are we all? But is it this Tuesday, to tease our listeners? We have another episode we're going to be
conspiracy
recording
style
Tuesday night.
shit. Are we in an alternate dimension? Probably. Is it a good one? Stay tuned.
We aren't in the alternate dimension.
So far, I'd say no. But yeah, no, our listeners.
We're not in the alternate dimension. Our alternate ones are in the alternate dimension.
Oh, that's true. We're just in a split dimension now. Fucking shit up in 2 times. Great.
No, but Casey, we did do a poll for our listeners, and it's a 60-40, 60% saying that they want us to go more down the route of conspiracy
right up my
theories
alley. And I want to
paranormal.
thank myself for the Birds Aren't Real episode being such a hit. Thank you, me. I rock. Brett, kick it up. Brian, we hope to have you join us again soon because I love having you and I miss your face. And I know you always have good stories and good commentary.
Yeah, and we'll see also what the listeners think too.
I'd love to come back
as well.
Well, I don't know about that, but I definitely would love to come back and talk about weird shit. That's basically what I do normally anyway. So, yeah, I'd love to talk weird shit.
For free. This is still for free.
Well, hold on.
All right, Brett, can you take us away?
Yeah.
Ryan.
Oh.
All right, guys, that was this episode of No Fly Zone with Ryan C. and special guests Bret the Vet and KC. Look forward to hearing from you next week whenever we talk about the alternate dimensions. I'll probably have them on as a guest again for that. So thank you for listening, guys. You're all wonderful. Keep your mental health in check. Reach out if you ever need anything, and you have a blessed day.